Hey, welcome back, everybody. Thanks for coming back to the podcast. My name is John Bishop with John Bishop Fine Art, and this is Conversations for Freelance Creatives. I'm glad you could come back. So this episode is all about my solo exhibition. Again, sorry, it's a big deal in my life, so I'm going to talk about it pretty much weekly until it happens. The good news is that it's coming up soon, so we don't have that many more episodes to listen to on this particular topic. But there's so much been happening. I was just thinking the other day, I was talking with Bogdan, and we were saying, we just feel tired all the time. We're feeling kind of almost overwhelmed. And I think it's that for a year and a half now with COVID, we've been sitting around with lots of free time, and we've been doing lots of writing and lots of social media content like this, and that's all wonderful, but kind of getting tired. Everything's coming back. Everything is getting busy again, and then I think we're kind of used to having a little more leisure. So, and I'm absolutely thrilled that things are coming back and that we're getting busier and busier again. But I kind of would like a little bit of a break. We've been actually, this is funny, we actually have been applying to art exhibitions and shows and contests that are abroad with the hope that we'll get accepted, and then we'll have to fly there to go to the opening, and that'll be an excuse to go on a holiday now that you can actually start to travel again, thank goodness, and thank science. So yeah, we're applying all over the place. We're very, very excited. Bogdan has been accepted into another solo exhibition featured at a photographic exhibition and fair in Tucumán, Argentina. This is the third time he's been to Tucumán, fourth time to Argentina, and I think his fifth exhibition in Argentina total. So he's really popular in Argentina. So we got this news that he was going to be in Tucumán again this year. He sent his work and had it accepted, his new series. And we were like, great, we're off to Buenos Aires. Well, come to find out, the exhibition this year is totally online, and that means that we won't be vacationing in the Pampas this year. All right, that would have been lovely, but we can put that off. And so then he, just this week, got notified that he's actually had an honorable mention in a photo exhibition contest in New York City, and will be in a exhibition in New York City, as well as a printed catalog there as well. And guess what? Also just a virtual experience. So, good on them. They have to keep people safe, but, New York would have been a lovely trip as well. So we have actually both applied to an exhibition opportunity in Mexico City with my residency program, the Programa de Residencia, in the PRPGMX with Michael Swank. And we haven't heard back. So, Mexico City would be a lovely alternative to have a vacation. So fingers crossed, we get to go somewhere. Otherwise, we may be heading back to Galveston for the weekend. Still not a bad plan, but not what you want for the first vacation we've had in literally years because of, mom and dad's illnesses and subsequent their passing, as well as all the COVID and everything else. It's been a long time since we've been able to go anywhere. So the only other thing in my life right now is preparing for this exhibition, the solo exhibition, my first solo exhibition, which is very, very exciting. I have finished all 20 of the pieces, which is also very exciting to know that they're all done. And I'm busily finishing up little things like varnishing and wiring and framing. Luckily, most of them are of a standard size, but I have a few that need to be custom framed. And then I had a friend, an artist, spoken to you about him before, Zach Williams, and he actually came and helped me stretch the two really kind of larger pieces. And that's great. So all of that stuff is happening. The art is ready. The catering is booked. The venue is booked. We're just going to pipe in some music. And so really it just comes down to the only thing that's really left is getting all the printed materials, the invitations, the actual catalog of the works and the exhibition, and then a few posters for the venue and things like that. So that is actually happening this week. And to kind of back up, if you don't know, if you haven't seen the previous episodes and know the exhibition that I'm discussing, I got this idea from John Ross Palmer, the artist, lives here in Houston, internationally acclaimed. And John Ross Palmer has what he calls a legacy series. And I got the idea from him to create this series of 5 installations, 5 separate exhibitions, 5 years apart over a period of 20 years. So that means that every 5 years I will present 20 new works in the series. And they will be highly collectible, and they will actually trace my growth as a professional artist. I'm starting with my first exhibition, and then every 5 years until I'm 80 years old, I will produce 100 works, 20 at a time, over a period of, every 5 years for a period of 20 years. So I'm really excited about the idea. I call it Panca Marga. Panca Marga is a Buddhist term, a teaching that says when you become a bodhisattva, and a bodhisattva is roughly equivalent to a Buddhist saint. And in Christianity, when you become a saint, you have reached, the pinnacle. That's as good as it gets for people. But for a Buddhist, when you become a bodhisattva, when we reach that level of completion, of perfection in life, or in many lives, instead of being the pinnacle, instead of being done, when you reach that point, you realize that there's 5 more roads to go to reach Buddhahood, to reach perfection. And I thought that was a really good metaphor for me. I'm 61 years old, and I come to this art profession, because this is kind of a new profession to me after teaching and after librarianship for 30 years, that I'm starting this new career. And at 61, instead of retiring, instead of being finished with my kind of professional acumen, I'm starting new. I have seen that, in fact, there are more paths to traverse. So I thought that was a fitting metaphor for where I am in my career and where I am in my life. And so the art will then follow 5 installments of the Panca Marga, each of the 5 roads of the Panca Marga. The first being the road of accumulation. So this time, this exhibition will kind of be a reflection of all that I bring with me after my 61 years of life, and all of the skills and traditions and learnings that I've accumulated over this last 61 years that I bring to the art. And so that will be the subject of this one. So this is where it gets really cute. So I've got the Panca Marga, and I'm saying, okay, Panca Marga is Chinese, and well, it's actually Sanskrit, but it's usually associated with Buddhism and in Tibetan Buddhism. And a Oriental tradition, I know in Japan and in China, they have these red stamps, these I've forgotten what they're called, but they're the actual stamp, signature stamps that people do in ink, or they do in wax I think they're called chops now that I think about it. And so I had the logo designed to kind of look like that, a red emblem with the words Panca Marga. And so I have that, and I created two kind of stamps. They're actually metal, and one is about, I don't know, maybe 3 inches around, and it's actually a brand. I guess you use it to burn into wood, or when you're cooking steaks, you can put your logo in it. So I actually had one of those, and I'm stamping each of the works with the Panca Marga logo. And then I have the smaller one, which is for sealing wax, which I can use the Panca Marga stamp for sealing wax for the invitations, things like that. So that's pretty cute. And then, in case it's not cute enough, I actually have these small lapel pins. They're about the size of a tie tack. And they actually are engraved with Panca Marga. They just came in today. They look adorable. They're in brass. And so each person who collects one of my works will get one of these special pins to mark their membership in my collection, my collectible series of Panca Marga. So yeah, I don't know how much cuter it'll get, but that's probably pretty cute. And they look adorable. So I have a letter I have a catalog that I prepared, and I have gotten a letter from John Ross Palmer, kind of, I don't know if the word endorsing, but supporting me in this, and my acknowledgement to John to thank him for the idea of doing this legacy series for my career. And then the other person who's doing the introduction or the dedication is Princess Brianna Karaja, who's a good friend of Bogdan's. She's a princess in Romania. And she's actually related to Dracula. It's so cool. But she's a good friend of Bogdan's, and she actually introduced us 20 years ago. And so I thank her for that. But she actually was there and gave the opening presentation and introduction to Bogdan's first photo exhibition in Romania back in 2004, I think it was. And she's now doing the kind of introduction and dedication for my first solo show 20 years later. So that means the world to me, and I want to acknowledge and thank Brianna for that. She's an amazing person. So all that's kind of organized. I feel like I'm where I need to be with all of that. But I need to remember that, just having an event and having nice food and opening the doors and having good music, that's all well and fine. But you have to be able to say, there's more. There's more than just having an opening in a door. You have to have an event. You have to have an experience. And we've talked about this in previous episodes, and I believe with all my heart that what people are looking for when they're buying art, when they're having anything to do with artists, is they're looking for an experience of art. And that's as important to them as buying the art, is having that experience. And so I must provide them with an experience. And we talked about all the different hats that we have to wear. We have to publicize, we have to market, we have to sell, we have to do the art, we have to stay motivated, and we have to be professional, and we have to keep good records, and all those things, business things that we have to do. We also have to do this. And this is tremendously important, I believe, in this kind of event, that you must provide an experience. Now, what does that mean? Well, let's just look at my event, because that's the only thing in my head right now. So when I look to how I will create an experience, then I have to look at what goes on at that event. I've invited them, I've made a lovely presentation, I have some lovely art, and I have food and drink. Once I get them there, what will they experience? So I have to have this planned out. I have to be able to say, when they walk through the door, someone will greet them. They will see the art. They will see the place where they're going. And as they approach, they will be greeted. They will be welcomed. They'll be ushered over for some nibbles and a glass of wine. They'll be given a catalog of all of the works in the collection and some text. If they don't read it then, hopefully they'll take it home with them and they'll have it there to throw in their coffee table or to read at their leisure. And In that will also be a price list, so that without any kind of fanfare, they'll be able to determine what things cost and whether or not they're interested at that price. There will be things happening. It's a 2-hour event. And I think that people get bored pretty quickly. I know I do. I get there, if it's really, really crowded, then I don't feel that comfortable because I don't fit around. And I don't believe that'll be the case now because of COVID and all that. But if I get there and there's nothing going on, then I feel even worse because I feel like I'm on the spot. I feel like everybody's looking at me. There's no one else there. Why? There's no one to talk to. There's no, the host looks uncomfortable because it's just me. And I've certainly been in those events because we tend to go when they start and no one else does. So I have to provide activities throughout that 2-hour period to involve them, to keep them interested while they're there, and hopefully entice them to stay. My hope is to have something happen about every 20 minutes, because that's about when people are going to start looking at their watches and think, maybe we should head out and get dinner. We've done that. We've been seeing, let's go. And if I have an event, if I have something to kind of spur them every 20 minutes, maybe they'll stick around a little longer, and I can get as much time out of them as I possibly can. One of the things that I will do is we'll have a little video explaining the Panca Marga series and what it's all about and things like that, and introducing them to the series. We can have a speech from me welcoming them. I hope to have a speech from Bogdan. We'll see if he'll do it, kind of introducing me as well. There's maybe something, a bio, a little video or something, a slideshow that would be a bio. There's something to keep people interested so that they don't just get bored. And we talked last time, I will also have someone whose job it is to watch the crowd. Somebody who's going to keep an eye and see those people who are checking their watches, or see those people who are alone and don't really have anyone to talk to, and get them over, to introduce them to me, to get them into a group, to get them some food and drink. Keep them occupied so that they don't just get bored and leave. So that's my plot, to give them an experience of what it's like to come to an event and enjoy it, be involved, meet the artist, meet other artsy people, meet other collectors, maybe see some red dots going up and getting involved in this is exciting, should I go and buy something? I better hurry because they're going fast. Get some of that dynamic going as well. And I also talked last time about the need, and I think we learned this from COVID, and it's not going to go away. We need to have hybrid events. And so I'm committed to having a second simulcast event where people can attend online. And that I'm picturing in my head right now that they can come into Zoom, they can be there physically, virtually, they can see what's going on in the room. So they can be a fly on the wall and see what's happening in the room, even wherever they are in the world. Also on Facebook Live, and where they can actually comment as well as see. They can use the chat function, can comment on what's going on and interact with people there. Now that will require that I have somebody sitting at a table who is actually monitoring those chats to say, if they need to talk to me, if that person can call me over. And just like I'm visiting with the guests in the room, I can go and visit with the guest online. I just go around to the camera and I can speak directly to them live. I think that will help. The other thing is that they can actually make bids on the art, and that somebody is watching live and we can go and take their I can send them a PayPal, I can send them an invoice, they can pay online, slap that red dot up and they've bought it remotely. Of course, then I can just ship it to them later. And then when someone does pull the trigger and buy something, there's a bit of a process there. It needs to look very professional and completely thought out. I went to an opening recently, and everybody, it was lovely, 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 and we said, okay, we want to buy something we can't afford, but a lot, so we just went to the bargain bin, and we found something to buy. Then we went to pay, and she was fairly unprepared for that. She had a little app, a little square thing on her phone, which is fine, but there were about 5 people waiting, and it wasn't working, and she was like, oh, and then she was chatting with friends. And the whole thing just felt like, really, you weren't planning on selling? You're not ready to sell? Which all worked out. It was still wonderful, but I don't want that to happen. So I want there to be a process that when they finally ready to pull the trigger, boom, they tell me, they swipe their card, whatever happens, we put a red dot on that piece of work, we give them a little packet, and in that packet there is, they've already got a catalog. If they don't, the catalog's there, the price sheet is there, but also the certificate of authenticity of the work they've just bought. I get from them, we take a photo for social media and for marketing. I get from them their address and contact information so that I can deliver the work to them afterwards. And as we mentioned last time, that gives me a chance to go to their home, spend some more time with them, maybe develop more of a relationship, as well as hang the work and get that delivered for them. If they're buying online, then all of that happens. I just mail everything to them. So they still get all of that. So that there is a very, very clear event and a very professional process to go through when that happens, when they're ready to buy. And we want to do that. They get the chance to, their experience is that they get to come to an art event, they get to mingle with other people, they get to see other people, they get to be seen by other people, and they hopefully have a lovely time and buy art. What we haven't talked about is those special collectors, those VIPs. And I think I mentioned in last week's podcast, we need to have a way to deal with the special people. And we know who those people are. They're the people who bought from us before. They're the VIPs who we may not get, the collectors, the gallery owners and things. And very often they won't just show up at a show. They want to know they're special. So I have a couple of options. I could have a separate event, a preview event for VIPs. And I see people do that quite a lot around Houston anyway. And the problem I have with that is that I can't afford to get the caterer twice. And if I have a pre-event for the important collector folks, they're not going to come back to the general event. And so I'm kind of sabotaging my own audience. And so what I thought I would do instead is the show starts on July the 1st, 2021, and then the exhibition reception isn't until the 9th. So I have 9 days. What I thought I would do is let all of my collectors, all my VIPs, all my press people, all my gallery owners know from the 1st to the 9th, if you would like to schedule some time with me, I'll give you a personal introduction to that work. That way they make appointments. I know to have a little champagne and little nibbles on hand. I give them a one-on-one or couples, however many come at a time, and give them their own presentation of the work, give them some time to look at it, give them a chance to pre-buy before the event, because the real goal is to sell them all before the event. Now that may sound kind of crappy to the people who show up that night, but you know what? I need to sell the works, and if I can get them sold, or almost all of them sold before the event, that's golden. It'll make them hurry with the next exhibition in 5 years. So that's my goal. I have a special event or a special process for VIPs beforehand to let them come and feel special, but then they are also still invited to the main event where I can give them acknowledgement and some other content. That's my plan anyway. I think it's very, very exciting still. I've actually spoken now to, I have somebody who's going to be dealing with the crowd. I have somebody who's going to be helping me, basically Bogdan. I have someone who's going to be taking photographs and video clip. And I have now somebody who's going to be actually sitting at the computer dealing with the online component, dealing with the chat rooms, and that person is also bilingual, and I think it's going to be a great fit. I think I'm getting ready. It feels good. It feels exciting. I know that at some point it's going to be horrifying and I'll be terrified and exhausted. But right now it's all looking good. I don't feel uncomfortable with anything at this time. I think it helps a lot that we did this right before COVID. We had Bogdan's exhibition, and mine will be smaller and cheaper, but I kind of know what to do. I feel like I'm hoping that this kind of content will help you when you're planning your next exhibition, that maybe you've thought about things, and maybe I've given some ideas you haven't had. And if you've got ideas for me, I would love to hear it. So please feel free to contact me with any sage advice. I could use it. But the real part for me is that this is the launching of myself as a professional artist. I've been doing it for years, but I've always been kind of in the sideline, tiptoeing in, going to an exhibition, going to a contest here, going to a group exhibition there, and that's all been well and good and very, very lovely. I've had people come by and buy from my studio, but I haven't really launched myself as a professional artist, and this is my first solo exhibition. And a promise to my collectors, first of all, that I will continue. So they're going to have a chance to collect from all 5 of these installments in this series of Panca Marga. They will have the chance to buy from all of those, which will make it more and more collectible. So I'm committing to that for the next 20 years. And, I'm also promising that I won't die before I'm 80. And that's kind of a bold promise. Actually, I can't guarantee that I won't die, but I can guarantee that I'm going to give it my all, and that I'm going to be a worthwhile investment for anyone looking to invest in an artist. I'm giving them a ready-made investment for the next 20 years. And that's what I'm really, really hoping will get through to people who are interested in buying and collecting art. I am not a one-off. I'm going to stick around, and you're going to be able to follow me and my career and collect my art for at least the next 20 years. Of course, I plan never to die, so who knows what will happen after I'm 80. So I want to thank you very much for listening today and for viewing if you're watching this on video. I really enjoy doing these podcasts. It's like visiting with friends, and I appreciate that and appreciate you guys very much. I also do a weekly vlog, written blog. I do a weekly vlog as well as this video podcast. And the vlog is much more kind of polished, shorter. It's a little more prepared. And this is just a conversation, hopefully, between friends, between colleagues. So I would appreciate your support, your follows, your likes. I would appreciate if you would join, if you're watching this on YouTube, if you'd subscribe to the channel, that would help me a lot. But otherwise, keep creative and have a lovely week, and I'll see you on the next. Thanks so much. Bye now.